What if you had just one last chance to share everything you've ever learned about life? That's the powerful idea we're going to dive into. A collection of wisdom that's framed as a father's final promise to his child. And trust me, these aren't just tips. This is like a blueprint for a life well lived.
Wow, that hits hard right from the start, doesn't it? But it's not meant to be dark or morbid. It's a wake-up call. The advice we're looking at is framed with this sense of urgency. This idea that our time with the people we love is so precious, and we really need to start acting like it. So, you see, this isn't just some random list of do's and don'ts. The whole thing is presented as a promise to yourself, really, to live with intention, with courage, and with a deep, unshakable sense of self-respect. Now, where does a journey like that begin? Well, it has to start from within. So our first stop is the promise to yourself. This is all about building that solid foundation that everything else in your life is going to grow on. I just love the brutal simplicity of this. You're asked to look just 6 months into the future and pick one. Are you going to have a pile of excuses, or are you going to have actual, real progress? It's just a stark reminder that the little choices we make every single day, they literally create our future. So, building that progress really comes down to these core ideas. A couple of these just jump right out at me. First, you train people how to treat you. And second, self-respect will cost you people. Let it. Oof. It's all about taking complete ownership and realizing, hey, your future desperately needs you, but your past, it really doesn't. And this just brilliantly nails the real cost of our choices. See, it's not about money. It's about your life force, your time, your energy. Every single time you say yes to something, you are literally spending a piece of your life on it. So the question becomes, is it a worthy investment? Okay, so once that internal foundation is getting solid, the focus naturally shifts outward to our connections with other people. And that brings us right to our second section, the promise in relationships, which is all about being deliberate and consciously choosing your circle. I mean, how good is this metaphor? It's so simple, yet so profound. Salt and sugar. They look almost identical, right? But they have completely different effects. The lesson here is crystal clear. Appearances can be incredibly deceiving. You have to be so careful about who you trust with your energy and your vulnerability. So, how can you tell the salt from the sugar in your life? Well, it really boils down to noticing the difference between people who want something for you versus people who want something from you. And this last point is just so key. Boundaries don't make you lose friends, they just help you spot the pretenders. This is such a critical distinction to make. Forgiveness and trust are two completely different things. You can forgive someone for your own peace of mind just to let go of that weight. But trust has to be earned back, period. You don't owe anyone your trust, especially after it's been broken. All right, so we've talked about our inner world and our relationships. But here's the thing. Knowing isn't doing. So next up, we have the promise to act, which is all about bridging that huge gap between our good intentions and actually getting into motion. Let's pause on this for a second. Are you scared of your next step? I think every single one of us can relate to that feeling, right? Standing on the edge of a big decision or a new project, or even just a difficult conversation and just feeling that knot in your stomach. And here is the brilliant reframe. That unique mix of fear and excitement, that isn't a stop sign, it's a massive green light. It's like a compass pointing you directly towards your growth zone. It is the clearest signal you'll ever get that you're about to do something that truly matters. Okay, so just look at this number, 100. What could this possibly mean when we're talking about taking action? Any guesses? This is honestly one of my favorite lessons from the whole thing. It completely flips the script on what failure means.
Instead of seeing no as this crushing dead end, you start to see it as just chipping away at a number. Every rejection isn't a failure anymore. It's documented progress. It's one step closer to the yes that could change absolutely everything.
And this quote really just sums up this entire section perfectly. You can learn from mistakes, you can grow from failure, but the regret of what if, the regret of not even taking the shot in the first place, man, that is a much, much heavier burden to carry through life.
So, taking action inevitably leads to results, but they're not always the results we want. And that brings us to our final theme, the promise to endure. This is all about how we find strength when things get really, really tough.
Now, this slide makes a razor-sharp distinction that can change everything. Pain, the actual bad thing that happens, that's an inevitable part of life. But suffering, that's the story we tell ourselves about the pain. And according to this wisdom, that story is completely optional.
Here's another fantastic metaphor for you. A bruise hurts, right? It's visible, and it definitely reminds you of the impact. But what happens? It fades. It heals. A tattoo, on the other hand, that's permanent. It becomes part of your identity. The lesson here is to never, ever let a temporary setback define who you are permanently.
So how do we actually endure? Well, it's all about reframing our perspective. It's not about winning or losing anymore. It's about winning or learning. Hardship isn't there just to break us. It's the friction that's needed to polish us into something stronger, something more beautiful. Okay, so after all of these promises, the promise to yourself, to others, to act, and to endure, what's the ultimate takeaway? What is the one simple truth that holds all of this together? In just 3 words, here is the sum of a lifetime of lessons. It goes on. The good times, the bad times, the wins, the heartbreaks, they are all part of a continuous, unstoppable flow. And the promise isn't to stop that flow, but to learn how to navigate it with intention and courage and grace. So the final question this leaves us with is this. Since it all goes on no matter what, how will you choose to go on with it?